Well, good afternoon. Today on the podcast, I have got Maggie Nguyen joining me, who is the owner and talent behind the Brisbane institution that is Cafe O-Mai. Now, I am a pretty regular customer, and that would certainly be how I got to know you. Would be because, well, number one, I can't pronounce your main dish, and I say it like a bogan Australian. So I come in for a bowl of pho, which I understand is very poorly pronounced. Pho.
Yes, correct. Pho.
Pho. I'm working on this because, again, my Australian is pretty heavy. But oh man, you guys do like just the most beautiful food, and there's a lot of people. If you know Cafe O-Mai, yeah, they go, oh yeah, that's my favourite. So Maggie, I'm really delighted that you've come to join me. Do you want to share just a little bit about what Cafe O-Mai is?
Wow. So my parents lived in Vũng Tàu, which is like a coastal town 2 hours away from Ho Chi Minh, Saigon. And my uncles built a boat before they fled, and that was in around 82, 81. And the boat fit about 35 people, and it was a small boat.
Wow. So they physically built this, and I assume you'd have to build this in secret.
Yes, of course. So they had a fishing license, so that was their way of like saying like they were legitimate.
It's for work.
Yes.
See the rod holders? It's totally a fishing boat.
Yeah.
Wow. So they have manufactured that sort of under the guise of work.
Yeah.
To get family and friends. So were there that many people on that vessel?
Half of my family were on that boat.
Oh, yeah.
So they split it up. So my grandpa went with my mum on that trip, and my grandma stayed back. I can't really remember the details.
No.
Yeah. No,
it shouldn't be a bit foggy from your specific perspective at that point in time. But that's pretty terrifying. And if I picked it up correctly, it took about 5 days.
Which is pretty quick.
That's what I thought. I'm like, that's pretty fast.
Yes, they were one of the lucky boats, because not many boats actually go to they. Sometimes during the voyage, they might encounter pirates or a really bad storm.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying. Do you know, like, do they have the motors or the sail? Do you know any of those? No? Because, I was obviously thinking the same night, like as a kid lucky enough to grow up in Australia, I've never had to fight those sort of battles. And I guess, the context around fleeing a country.
Yeah. It's pretty deep, and it's beyond all the luxuries we have as a first world problem stuff.
Yeah. That's anyone I ever see that complains about Australia or how tough it is here. I'm like, mate, I don't think you have perspective of what tough looks like. Tough is moving half your family in a boat you built in secret across the ocean to escape. That's a hell of a thing. And when they got here, do you know what happened next?
So my parents landed in Malaysia, and they went in the refugee camp for 3 months, and then after that, it was either Australian government or America, and my grandfather luckily chose Australia.
I think that was a pretty good, pretty good outcome.
Good choice.
Good choice. Panned out okay.
Yeah.
Did they explain why? Was there one way over the other?
I'm not quite sure. I never really asked it.
Yeah. Just I think it's sort of because land of the free, home of the brave. There's a lot of rah coming out of there, whereas Australia back then was should be right, mate. So it's just I guess I'm fascinated by why did they call it?
I should ask one of my uncles that.
Yeah, to go what tipped the scales? They've got Hollywood and we've got the big banana. So they're probably not things you're thinking about when you're fleeing for your life. You're probably pretty happy there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, they went to Sydney.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So set up in Sydney.
Yes.
And did they get support from the Australian government? Like, how did that?
Yeah, it was pretty supportive back then. Like, so they were in the Endeavour Refuge.
Yeah, right.
I can't remember whereabouts it was, but it's on around the beach area where it's really, really like expensive now.
Fantastic. Nice work, Australian immigration. That's a
yeah, blue chip location.
Okay, so they came in and got supported. Obviously didn't stay in Sydney, but they there for.
Yeah, no. I was born and raised there.
Right.
Yeah. So my parents probably lived around Marrickville and they slowly just moved west.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So moved away, wasn't. And sort of what drew them out?
I think it's just affordability.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then closer to the Vietnamese community.
Okay, so
it moved
that's
to
really strong.
the Bankstown and then went to Cabramatta.
That's
where I grew up.
So there was a strong sense of community there.
Yeah.
So a lot of people that have also fled, or
yeah,
that was sort of the main makeup.
Yeah, a lot of Vietnamese tend to live out like Cabramatta or Bankstown.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so you grew up in Sydney, so educated in Sydney.
Yeah.
And how did you find schooling in Australia?
I mean, I did go to a school with a lot of Vietnamese kids, so that I guess I felt all right. I didn't feel out of place.
Oh, that's lovely. So
Yeah.
that was a nice experience.
Yeah.
Coming through, because again, Australia in the 80s, yeah.
I know, but there are times when we did go to road trips and we got called different names.
Yeah.
Up north.
Up north.
Like
up Queensland. Up the rednecks are. Mate, they're a bit slower. we are often considered. Back in Australia, aren't we? Sometimes. I don't know if and so you grew up in Sydney. So what age? Did you sort of do further education down there? You went on to specialise?
Yeah. So after school, I chose chiropractic because I got the marks, I guess, and it was just to really fulfill my parents' desires for me to have a degree because they couldn't get one. And
why chiropractic? I mean, there's a lot of degrees.
So random.
Yeah, like you thought, man, I'm just going to crack people.
Yeah. Well, I was actually working at a chiropractic clinic in high school, so I was kind of persuaded by my boss.
So your folks were like, come on. And okay, and so you sort of found yourself surrounded by, it's not that bad, I've got to choose something.
Yeah.
You know, that'll do?
Yeah. Just kind of went into it, Like I think at 18 you don't really know what the hell you want to do. Like your calling, like you can change.
Did you have any insight at that point in time?
I wanted to do arts degree. Like my mum was like, "What? What are you going to be?"
That's awesome. So what sort of arts? Like what style of art?
I don't even know. I wasn't really clear because I didn't even get to delve into it because.
So you just wanted to make stuff.
Yeah, or be creative.
Be creative.
Yeah, that was more me.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
See that makes more sense. And again, knowing you now, I could imagine that as somebody that likes to create. Okay, so you missed that because that would have been very disappointing for you folks to go, thanks for this fantastic new life. Do you know what I'm going to do if I'm going to be an artist? Yeah. So you went into chiropractic study. Obviously not what you've done with the rest of your journey, but talk to me about that. Talk to me about going through uni and becoming
chiropractic. Yeah, it was interesting. Like, I think I felt more out of place when I was in uni in chiropractic because there was a lot more Anglo people, I guess. Like, it wasn't a very Asian-focused degree. There wasn't hardly any Vietnamese people. doing a degree like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what else? Yeah, like I practiced for 4 years, and then I felt this isn't really me. It wasn't my calling.
But did you work for somebody else's practice, or did
Yeah,
you have
yeah, yeah.
private practice, or yeah?
Yeah, I was just like a contractor. Yeah.
So you sort of never really went all into it.
Yeah.
Even when you talk about it now, you can sort of, I can see your expression, and you're like,
Yeah.
whatever. It does not spark any flame in you whatsoever, does it?
Well, I didn't really believe in it. So, and then most of the time when I was adjusting my patients, I was kind of thinking about my next thing, like, that quaint corner cafe kind of thing that I was going to create.
So that was all you could think while you were lying in there.
Yeah.
You could imagine. And the cooking, because I've seen that's obviously something that is, I guess, ingrained in the family.
Mm-hmm.
Was there always the love of cooking, or did that grow over time?
Well, at family gatherings, it's very food focused. Yeah, always. And I got to see my grandma cooking as an early age, like really small toddler. And I was always really curious, and I wanted to help. And half the time she'd be like shooing us because we didn't do it right. Typical grandma.
Sounds about right. Do it right, or my way or the highway.
Yeah. And my mum's really passionate about cooking as well. So I got it from them.
So did they let you in a little bit when you got a little bit older? When were you allowed to sort of assist in the kitchen?
About 8.
About 8?
Yeah.
So that was sort of the age where you were doing it, where it wasn't so bad that they were irritated.
Yeah, 8. Yeah, and what else? Just like my grandfather used to like buy fresh like live ducks from the farm, and then that whole art of like killing it and plucking its feathers. We were part of that.
So you weren't just going to Woolies and
no,
getting them off the rack. And see, that is a much more involved process, much more connected with what you're making.
Yes.
And there's a much deeper understanding of where it's coming from.
Like appreciation as well.
Absolutely.
Well, I find like with kids, like if you get them involved and they actually be a part of the process, they actually want to eat it.
Well, that's it. They can see, and I've had the same experience with my son, that he has just always loved. I quite enjoy, whipping a few things up, and he has, he'll bring his little step into the kitchen because he's not tall enough.
Yes.
And he'll climb up there and get what can I do? And wants to stare and taste and try. Yeah, it's actually a really lovely thing. And okay, so you were invited into that around 8 years of age.
Yeah.
What did they let you do at that stage?
It's mainly prepping.
Mainly prepping.
Yeah.
So you gotta pay your dues.
Yeah.
Really get in there.
Yeah, but that's how you learn from doing all the easy steps like cleaning, washing vegetables or something, or slicing carrots, or cleaning beans.
And did you get to use the sharp knives?
Yeah, slowly. Yeah.
I'm just imagining him going, and what sort of dishes did you really enjoy making at that time? When, what were the ones that fascinated you?
Oh. Mainly, I think soups. My mum used to always do broths, like chicken broths and stuff, and the whole process of skimming all the impurities, I find it pretty relaxing. It's like baking.
It's a process, isn't it?
Yeah.
Enjoying that journey and the smells all the time.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And you sort of, was it something that you really just did for families, or did you sort of cook a lot for yourself, or what was sort of the attraction really?
Yeah, I enjoy I think it's a form of love. Like my parents, my mom, like when I grew up, she hardly ever said I love you or something, but it's mainly through food. Like, have you eaten today? Are you hungry? And that's how they showed that they cared. Yeah.
Why don't you check that you can actually eat something?
Yeah, you don't hear many Vietnamese people asking how are you when they meet you. They're just like, come on, sit down, eat, and then we can talk afterwards because we'll be full by then.
Much more relaxed, much happier.
Yeah.
Sounds right. I wonder if we get along. So you're a chiropractor. I'm going to jump back forward in time here. You're a chiropractor. They're adjusting people. I've recently started doing some chiropractic work, so I at least understand a little bit about how that process goes. So I'm thoroughly interested. So while you were doing that process, which actually makes me a bit nervous, how did that progress from treating patients to then going, I really want.
I think something happens at 27. So that's when I'm going to change.
Just snap. This is not the path.
Yeah. So I left Sydney to go to Brisbane at 27, and then I opened a restaurant in the Valley with my brother, Leighton, who owns Burger King next door and Red Lotus. And it was really like a learning curve, that first restaurant. I had no idea what I was doing. Nothing, zero. No hospitality knowledge at all.
Now, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
So you've decided to go into business with your brother.
Yep.
So family business.
Yes.
Again, always a bold choice.
Yes.
You have decided to leave home, the area where your family is.
Yep.
You've chosen Brisbane as the place to go, and then Fortitude Valley is. You've got to unpack a little bit with this. How did this process come together?
Sometimes those processes just happen in a weird way, and it's just by you saying yes.
And was there a discussion that you sort of went to your brother, I'm thinking about doing this thing, what do you reckon?
He was up here already, and I think it was a lot of him convincing as well.
Sounds like it. If he was already here going, this is pretty good.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, the location he chose was pretty shit. Yes. So it was Chinatown Mall.
Right.
And the rent was incredible.
That would have been. That is
not a cool spot. Like it was.
So it struck me as your vibe.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't me. That's why.
Probably felt so weird.
I was out of place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't really celebrated for what what we offered. Yeah, it was a bit of a waste. And
what was the duration that you were there?
I was there probably a year and a half, and then I kind of left. I was like, this is a thing. But my brother kept it going, and luckily he sold it in time.
And when was this one?
2011.
2011, okay.
Oh, yeah, 10, 11, yeah.
That sort of time.
Yeah.
So first restaurant with your brother.
Yeah.
And how did that go working with your brother? Obviously not terribly.
It's challenging working with family. Yeah. But, there's a tolerance with family that isn't there with friends. Because normally friends will be like, can I even swear?
Mate, let her rip. Potty mouth is okay. But yeah, I get that. There is because oddly enough, my brother is my business partner.
Yeah.
14 years we've worked together and still like working together, enjoy each other's company.
Yeah.
Don't want to murder each other. There is a strong understanding.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah, it's the same with me and my mum and I.
Because you got the full family business.
Yes.
My folks are like, so you've had the business there in kind of town. And you sort of said that it was a bit of eye-opening for you. And we also are enjoying the scenes of Switchboard that you does at times of the Edwards going through. So if you're in your car at the moment, that's not the first thing to get out of the way. That's just what happens when you record a show at Sheridan's Corner. Anyway, slightly off topic. So it was reasonably brutal starting a restaurant. What were the things that really slapped you in the face when you first started? Can you narrow it down?
The hours? Yeah. I'm pretty committed to it. Yeah.
You have to be. That's
Yes.
it. That's the whole game. It's going to go one of two ways. It's going to work or it's not. And you're the deciding factor.
Yep. And staffing is a tricky one. Like it's one of those, hospitality. Like you rely on a lot of people to make it work.
Yeah, big team.
Yes.
I've always looked at a restaurant business. I admire the complexity because you've got to do a great job every day, every hour, every service, every place, every time. Particularly in this day and age, where people can be a bit, they can certainly have their point known. Whereas, if I had an off day, probably not as many people will notice.
Yeah.
And I really think that pressure, if you're not loving where you are, that would really get tiring very quickly.
Yeah. There's a lot of what is it? How do we explain it? A lot of inner voice kind of mantras going on, like for resilience.
Like what? What do you say to yourself when you
Oh,
think I shouldn't be doing this?
yeah, it's tough. Like yeah, a lot of times when things are really hard during service, like when it's a busy day, I usually say stuff like, "Oh, it will pass," and it usually does. But in that moment, it's just like,
This too shall pass.
yeah, how am I going to get through this?
Yeah, I have 100% success rate of getting through these terrible days. Okay, but so you've got to, you spend a lot of time just sort of coaching yourself through it.
Yes.
And is that something that you always had, or is that something that you've had home?
I think I got it from my mum. My mum is a tough cookie. If anyone's met her. She's tough.
I have no doubt. And see, I've never met her because, you are very much the face of the business.
Yeah. Yeah, but my mum raised my brother and I. She's a single parent. My parents split when I was 7. So she was all she knows is work. And there's times when I have a breakdown and my mom's message to me is, "You have nothing to be sad about." but it's coming from a place where she's a refugee, I guess. And it's just a different context.
Totally.
Yeah.
And she would look at that and go, "Yeah, what are you worried about?" Yeah, like, my problems are valid. They are different.
Yes.
But they are different.
Yeah. And yeah, like I think I get the resilience from my mum. Definitely.
I can believe that, actually.
Yeah, because I can't believe that I've reached. So this year is my 11th year for Cafe O-Mai, and I'm not gonna lie. In those 11 years, there's times when it's dark and it's like I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Yeah, but somehow I managed to do it.
Yeah, you keep going. Every time I wander into a feed, it's always a smile and always a beautiful meal. And again, I tip my hat to you for that because 11 years of that, 11 years of any business, and
Yes.
shit, 11 months of a business is bloody terrible. So to be doing that for so long and to have built, I would suggest that you have almost a cult-like following of what you've created. But we're sort of jumping ahead. I'm going to rewind because you've exited the business in Chinatown.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't you.
Yes.
What happened next?
I've always thought the Burbs would do really well. So that was my gut. Like, I find like in the valley it was really a lot of transient customers. Like it was just tourists or people going out for a drink or clubbing. But yeah, it wasn't like a repeat customer base like the locals. So I actually lived in Maruka when I was researching my lovely spot now, and I went past there like probably for a year and go, yeah, that's the spot. That's the Golden Goose spot.
So you eyed it off.
Yeah, I did.
You knew that was the spot.
Yeah. So prior to my restaurant, it was an Indian restaurant. Yeah. It was called Figuritos. Yeah, but it was like a time warp. Like there was curtains, carpet. The decor was just probably the same from the 80s. It was, yeah, the owner just hadn't moved with the times. Yeah, and I came in and said, "Oh, can I actually buy you out?" that was how it started.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's fully committed there.
Yeah.
You've decided. You found the place.
Yep.
You spent a year driving past it, going, I think this is it.
Yeah.
And then you pulled the trigger.
Yeah, and at the time, my mum didn't believe it. She's like, I can't see through this. And I'm like, you've got to take away all these curtains. And then it is the spot.
But you were able to convince her, obviously.
Yeah, I did.
So how long did that take?
I can't remember. Probably 6 months, probably.
Because you've started the business with her, so was it just the two of you at that stage, or
Yeah, yeah.
not your brother as well?
No,
because he was still
in Redlow. Yeah, in China.
Yeah, running business there. Wow. And so you've come in, you've decided what you wanted to do. Where did you start? You started by, I guess, attacking the interior and redoing it?
Yeah, we did a renovation. Yeah, we stripped it, raised the roof. Yep. And it looks so different. Completely different. So there were, it used to be a butcher, so there was like exposed brick, and then there was like phone numbers. It was great. It was just gave it the charm of the cafe.
Because here's a crazy thing. Use this information. I discovered when I moved into this building, which is across the road from the restaurant, that when my mum was born, they lived for a time in this building. So you know where the flats are just here?
Yeah.
Next to us? My mum lived here. And then you know where the barber shop is?
Yes.
My great-grandfather ran that barber shop.
Oh.
I had no idea.
Yes.
I didn't know any of this. And I only found out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of coincidences at my shop. So the lady, Tamara Armstrong, who did the mural inside my shop, one day she was just calling her mum and go, oh yeah, I'm doing a mural for a cafe, a Vietnamese cafe in Annerley. And then her mum's like, what street is it on? And she said Cracknell Road. And she's like, do you know that your auntie used to live there? At the back of the vegetable shop. So it used to be like a veggie shop, like probably in the 50s or something.
And this was it.
Yeah.
It was in the 50s. And, you know, apparently, when my mum was born, they lived out the back of the barber shop there. So in that block of shops, and then moved across the road here into the apartment.
Yeah.
And I knew none of this. And, you know, mum's then tracked down a photo of my grandfather working in that barber shop.
Mm.
And I mean, I was totally spun out. I couldn't believe that, I've set up a business here. What's that? 50, 60 something years.
Yeah.
Not even longer. Years later. And like this is, my family was like living and working here. It's super weird. Yeah. So it's obviously a good spot.
Yeah.
So when did you actually open the restaurant? When did you start accepting customers?
September 2012.
September 2012.
Yes.
And this is where I'm going to have that very first question that I asked you.
Mm.
What was Cafe O-Mai to you? Those first cafes?
I still remember that day pretty clearly. People were really excited. The night before, I still remember a lady named Marie who walked in the door while I was like on the floor getting the menus together. And she's like, oh, I'm so excited you're opening. I'm like, oh, thank you. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, yeah. There's so many people that day. Yeah, no, it's like, I can kind of, okay, it's community. Yeah, and it's a lot of love, Cafe O-Mai. It's a safe place. Yeah, what I've created with my mum, like, yeah, it's just, I find, I'm not being biased, but probably I am, but it just feels different.
It does.
Yeah, there's a vibe, hey.
I can vouch for that. Like lots of people say this in their marketing. Feel at home.
Yeah.
I'm like, you fucking don't. But you come to Cafe O-Mai, you do. Like there's something there. There's something about, obviously your ethos, the style of food, the way that things are presented, the way that your team, interact with you. That's not an accident.
Mm.
And I guess I'm wondering, because I have to wildly assume that you direct and encourage that. What do you tell them? What's the ethos of it?
Ooh, I think it's going to go back to chiropractic now, because I think that having a health background has played a huge part of the way I serve my customers.
Really?
Yeah.
Talk me through that.
It's got a nurturing care kind of vibe. I'm a huge people reader. I can gauge when something's not right. I've had people cry in front of me, and I'm like, I didn't intentionally have. Yeah, people just.
So that I guess that connection, the emotional intelligence, those sorts of I guess soft skills.
Yes, it's one of those things that you can't train people to have. It's either you got it or you don't. Yeah, that spark, right?
Yeah. I know it. That's my life.
Yeah, and yeah, I just care a lot. I care too much sometimes. Like I actually sometimes replay scenarios of incidents that I couldn't. Sometimes customers are not happy sometimes, and then I'm like, did I actually resolve that in a good way, the best way that I could have done? And then the next time I see them, I'm like, oh, sorry about last time and something, and then I don't even remember what you talked about, but it's probably because I just have a bit of.
It's your special place. You want it to be beautiful.
Yeah.
You want everyone to have that experience.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I get that. And with the construction of your menu, has that changed much over those 11 years?
Yeah, it has grew, and I think it's such a broad and big menu. There's times when I want to cull it, but I know that if I did, there'll be a riot outside the shop if I start deleting things that people love, like crackling pork.
Mate. Oh, she's just given away the secret. The crackling pork bun. Do I say it?
Yeah, bun.
Mate, that is one of the best things I've ever eaten. And when I take people there for the first time, that is quite often the introductory dish that I direct them. And unless, of course, that's the
yeah, soup.
Hot soup is, sure. Was that trying to say? Oh, no, please never get rid of the crackling pork bun, mate. That is one of your gifts to this world.
Yeah, and it's just a fixed menu. So we have specials sometimes. So, yeah, there's times when so for me to thrive, I feel like I need to be creative, and then that's when there's specials, and then just to help with boredom.
So you've got to do something wild.
Yeah, sometimes, but not drastically. I think I found the reason why things are the way it is at Cafe O-Mai is with the menu is it's not about my ego, it's about what the customers want. So there's times when I want to just scrape everything and start again. But my mom's like, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
She's very wise.
Yes. Yeah. You know, like, because sometimes you're bored, you're like, oh, I just want to do something different. But then if it's bringing people in,
this is where the secret menu starts, isn't it?
Yeah, or we can do a pop up.
Yeah. So do you do some of that? Do you do a bit of...
Sometimes, not really. No, but this year I'm going to try and do that.
Nice.
Just for me.
Where are you going to pop up? Or is that...
What would I do?
Yeah, what would you... Is it same, totally different?
Oh, something different.
So not Vietnamese food?
It might have some inspiration. But like I was thinking of doing a Sunday session, like having a soul funk band at the back of the restaurant and calling it like Mofo.
Good.
Yeah, like just really random, and then just having a simple dish. Yeah. There's so many ideas.
You gotta pull the thread.
Yes.
Explore the curiosity.
Yes.
See what happens.
Yes. And the thing is, you gotta just have a date. Put a date.
Commit.
Yeah.
Let's just it's done. Tell people. Let them know. Tell the world, and then it's on, and then you bug it, and then when you go, what am I doing? And your mum goes, why? You know, yeah. So going forward, what do you see on your journey? What's next?
Wow. Because it's like 11 years, right? And then it's like, what? Am I going to do another 9?
Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh. O-Mai forever? And they probably don't want to put you on the spot. But it's because you have it's interesting some of the notes that you sort of hit on with the community and the family place and the verbs. Like you've ticked the brief. You've nailed those things, and I certainly think you've got that down to a practice art. And I could see where you want to potentially explore more things, and then obviously family businesses alongside. Yeah, it's just interesting to see what you might be thinking, or things you'd like to experiment with, or if you could just wipe the slate and do whatever you want. What might that look like in a more theoretical space?
Well, I do want to write a book. That's my next thing. A cookbook.
Where do I buy? I'm
well, I haven't even published. It's really in the early stages, but it's one of my goals.
I think there would be a lot of people that would be very interested in your cookbook. So that's part of Is this in the works? Are there a couple of things written down?
It's all in my head at the moment. It's really just I think it's going to be about me mainly, and about my just portraying all the quirkiness, recipes that I grew up with, and I'm really obsessed with music, so I'm going to incorporate that into my cookbook as well, because I collect records, vinyl.
Oh.
Yeah, so instead of suggested drink list, it's suggested listening.
So we set the vibe.
Yeah.
And they're doing I've never even heard that.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
Like dinner party, what are you gonna spin, and who's gonna flip the record? Yeah. just stuff like that.
And when you sort of say, okay, so you've got a record collection. How large is this record collection?
It's building. It's not that big. Probably 2 IKEA cubes full.
So it's on its way.
It's on its way.
And what style? Is it a broad style? What's it
Yeah, it's eclectic, but it's mainly alternative indie 80s stuff. Yes. Like I'm a huge Joy Division fan. I even have the album cover tattooed on me.
That's a real fan. So there's going to be a cookbook that has musical suggestions.
Yeah.
I like where this is going.
Yeah.
It's a TV show.
Yeah, and I'm into my colourful dresses because I wear black all day. So when I'm out of work, I usually wear colourful things, big earrings. My hair changes colour all the time.
I have noticed that.
Yes.
These are the tiny little bits of creative expression you can get away with in a black uniform.
Yeah. And I think that having that creative expression at the cafe invites people in to be anything they want. And you don't have to fit in. And I've always had that thing about trying to fit in when I was growing up, and to create that vibe in a venue, I think that's important for people. It's inclusive.
And I appreciate that because I have no interest in getting dressed up, and I look like I've rolled out of bed most days when I turn up at your job. Fashion is not why people would hire me. And I do appreciate that there's no dress code there. You just be you.
Yeah.
Because I always enjoy this. It is funny though, isn't it? Now that I stop and think about it, there's mums with kids, and there's people, dressed up in their, savvy business attire.
Yeah.
And then, certainly, a more alternative look as well.
Or lycra, bikes and lycra.
Lycra,
dogs.
high-vis, dogs, like whatever there's no limits to that, is it? It's just not even part of that conversation. Well, I'm very keen to sort of hear what happens next on this cookbook. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. If anyone's a publisher.
I don't think you'd have too much trouble with the show. Yeah, I think there'd be some interest in that. Yeah. And look, over those 11 years of running this business, what are some of the things that you've really taken away from it, that you've learned that have changed you?
Change me?
You wouldn't be the same person that you are 11 years ago, I have to imagine.
I probably am a lot more bolder than 11 years ago. I was pretty introverted and timid back 11 years ago, but now I'm just me.
See, introverted doesn't really strike me at a food service.
I don't know. I think I don't really like the word introvert anyway, because I think most of us are in between, and there's times when we need to go within.
It's a good place. Yeah. Got to be comfortable there to be comfortable anywhere else.
Yeah. A lot gutsy. I used to be really calculative, afraid. And with Cafe O-Mai, the early days, it was just 40 seats, so we only had the corner. But it was just there's moments that we had to just take to go to expand, and we had to do it. And there's a big risk, right? Putting a lot of money into a reno.
Massive.
Yeah. And we had to get a loan. It's a gamble, I guess, but calculated a little. Yeah, we were sure we were going to do it right.
And I think that comes down to that self-belief, doesn't it? Sort of fought enough battles and rolled the dice often enough that you go, again, potentially on paper, a bit silly, but I know that this will work. So.
Yeah. And there's belief from my mum, like she was supportive of my, like of the restaurant financially. Like without her, I wouldn't be able to do it. There's always someone helping in the back. Always with business. Yeah, so pretty lucky in that regard. What else?
Has your mum changed in that time? Have you seen anything, or just same?
I think she's same. My mum's pretty stable. Yeah.
So the whole journey hasn't really made much of a difference.
She's always been a workaholic. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yes and no. Yeah, so my mum used to own a florist in Sydney. That was a long chunk, like probably 20 years or so. So I was helping her with that too, growing up. So small business has always been ingrained in me from an early age.
That does seem to be something that I've noticed as I talk to more people over time, because my father ran his own business as well, and it was all over you.
Yeah.
And his dream for me was for me to work for the government, so that I didn't have to go through all the stress of small business, because he went through the absolute roller coaster.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I used to go into his building, like that's where we hung out. If you're on holidays, you're there.
Yes.
Like the fabrics and wallpapers. And one of our favourite things was the stable gown. I'm not sure which one the stable gowns.
Yeah, I was helping my mum clean flowers in school holidays.
We weren't helpful. Yeah, there's something about that, isn't there? If you grow up around small businesses, but you quite often do see that next generation just do it yourself.
Yeah. What, be your own boss?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine working for someone.
I'd get fired.
Yeah.
Especially after this long. I'm not very good at when I find myself like in corporate world places, I'm like,
out of place.
I'm supposed to be here. Oh, well, Maggie, I'm conscious of your time, and I'm grateful that you've come to have a chat with me this afternoon about yourself and your journey. For people that want to follow you, want to follow your business, how can they keep up to that?
Oh, they're on Instagram and Facebook. Cafe O-Mai.
Okay, at Cafe O-Mai?
Yeah, CAFEOMAI.
There we go. I'll throw that in the show notes so people can find it. And that's where, so everything's up on that. So for people can see it. And the restaurant here at Shannon's Corner.
Yeah, the south side.
Right, so good. I'm south side born and bred. So.
Yeah.
I can't help it. Well, Maggie, I'm going to wrap that up. Thank you so much for coming and having a chat with me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It's been fun chatting about Cafe O-Mai. Yeah, and I'll probably see you soon at Cafe O-Mai for Bardney.
Hilariously, I've actually got a meeting there tomorrow at lunch.
Cool.
So I'll be seeing you very soon. Hey, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.